This is Mayor Tiffany Henyard, the people's mayor.
She's a self-described super mayor.
This is me, yes, me, super mayor.
Whose likeness can be seen hung across her small Chicago suburb and on her social media channels.
I am there for all my haters. It doesn't matter because I'm the mayor of all of Dolton.
But tonight, Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dolton, Illinois, is struggling to silence growing calls for an investigation into how she spends public money.
And I will be victorious when all the dust clear. You see, mark my words. So with that being said, I'm going to go into this veto message.
During a tense board meeting Monday, Henyard vetoed a measure calling for an outside investigation into her alleged misuse of public funds.
Calling for an investigation of Mayor Tiffany Henyard.
This after the village board late last month called for the FBI, the U.S. Attorney, and the Cook County Sheriff to investigate the village's finances, which trustees say the mayor is keeping under wraps while spending lavishly.
We cannot continue to stand for millions of dollars being wasted on trips and things that do not benefit the community.
Kiana Belcher is one trustee calling for that investigation.
What is it that you all say she's spending public money on?
We have not received a financial report since September of 2023.
She alleges that last year, the mayor racked up $1 million in police overtime for her own personal detail.
A weekend, possibly $27,000 to $30,000.
$27,000 to $30,000 for a weekend.
For the weekend, yes. Last March, when we still were receiving copies of the card.
She also says the mayor spent $1.3 million
Because we have love on ice today.
building this ice rink.
Nobody can go over there unless she's having an event.
Meanwhile, Belcher says vendors contracted by the village say they're not getting paid.
The banners or the billboards with her face on them, is that person not getting paid?
No, the person is not getting paid. It was 122 banners for $19,900 some dollars.
NBC News has reached out to Mayor Henyard, who, according to NBC Chicago, also works as township supervisor for a neighboring community, making a total salary of close to $300,000 a year. So far, we've received no response.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We got to talk about Ghetto Super Mayor Tiffany Henyard once again, because like I told you guys in the last video that I covered about this woman, that, hey, it seems like the walls are closing in on her, okay? Because in my last video, I talked about how the FBI had officially indicted one of her goons, Mr. Keith Freeman, who allegedly lied on bankruptcy documents in which he basically underreported his income. He tried to make it seem like he wasn't working one of the jobs that he worked, even though it was publicly available information that, hey, buddy, you were working these jobs as a government employee. He tried to hide that income. The FBI has basically got him, okay? They've indicted him. And the idea is that they were going to use that as a way of getting to Tiffany Henyard, okay? This guy is going to become a snitch. He's going to flip on Miss Tiffany Henyard, and then you will really start to see things ratchet up against her. And lo and behold, just a few days later, we have the FBI raiding the village of Dolton, okay? The FBI is raiding the Townhall of Wakanda, right? Because that's what I call this place. It's Wakanda, because this is exactly what Wakanda would be like if the woke revolutionaries got their way, okay? If anybody wants to see how a town or country would be run if the kings and queens were running everything, okay, they claim it would be a utopia where, you know, black folks would be thriving and there would be no chaos and corruption, because again, everything is the white man's fault, right? Black people's biggest problem is not the black folks that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. No. It's actually really the white man. The white man is the problem, okay? And as you guys have seen in these stories about Wakanda, most of the people running this city and this township are not white, right? And she got elected because she was a black woman, okay? And they wanted to make history. There's no doubt in my mind that that was a factor in regards to her getting elected, because in my opinion, that is the only reason why you would elect somebody who clearly and obviously is not qualified to lead a village or a town, okay? I mean, you know, it's crazy that we have to have people go through these types of experiences, this type of corruption, in order for people to learn that, hey, you shouldn't vote for people based off skin color or sex. But it is what it is. I mean, in the year 2024, the left liberals are learning firsthand that, hey, our ideology does not lead to good outcomes. Okay, the policies that we claim that we support and that we want aren't necessarily good for us. I mean, just ask the black people in Chicago who are currently revolting against Brandon Johnson, who is a progressive, and they voted for him after voting out Lori Lightfoot because she was too liberal. But for whatever reason, they voted in somebody that was more to the left of Lori Lightfoot, a even bigger lunatic, because he was their brother, right? AKA he was a black man. So it was like, oh, okay, well, he's a black man, so therefore he's better than the more conservative Democrat. Again, it just ridiculous to think about. Absolutely crazy to think about. But hey, it is what it is. So that being said, the FBI has raided Dolton Village Hall, and this has essentially confirmed that the FBI is heavily involved in investigating Tiffany Henyard. And this raid, in my opinion, confirms that, hey, there are probably going to be charges coming against her. She's in big trouble. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this news clip so you guys get a better understanding of what's going on in Wakanda.
First on WGN, we have breaking news from the south suburbs. WGN Investigates has confirmed the FBI right now is carrying out a raid of Dolton Village Hall. It comes after months of WGN Investigates reporting on questionable conduct by Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who also serves as the Thornton Township Supervisor. The FBI now confirming in a statement that the FBI was conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in that area today. There is no further information available for release at this time. We understand from witnesses at the scene who were trying to conduct business at Dolton Village Hall today that they were turned away this afternoon when a group of plainclothes FBI agents at about 2:15 this afternoon entered Village Hall. We don't know what they're searching for or how long their search will take. We also don't know whether or not other court-authorized searches are taking place at other locations. We can tell you that Tiffany Henyard has been the focus of scrutiny for many months now for spending as well as transparency. You'll recall that a group of trustees opposed to Tiffany Henyard recently hired former Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, who's also a former federal prosecutor, to come in and investigate not only the village's finances, but other alleged transgressions.
So they might as well fire Lori Lightfoot at this point, right? Since the FBI is investigating, they might as well just stop all that, because at that point you're just contributing to the waste, fraud, and abuse that allegedly is going on with this city/town. Okay, I mean, Lori Lightfoot and her investigation is not going to have any weight. So I mean, now that you know that the FBI is investigating, they're raiding stuff, there's no reason to continue to have her investigate. It's just a bad look for the trustees that are supposed to be on the good side of this, situation. She should be fired, right? Maybe they've already signed a contract or whatever, but if they can get out of that, they should, because quite honestly, paying her $400 an hour to investigate something that the FBI is already investigating, I think is a waste of money. It's a bad look because she is corrupt, right? Just like Tiffany Henyard. And, I just don't think it's a good look. I think they should get rid of her. I think it's pointless at this point. But, we'll see if she continues. But I think at this point, her being involved really just kind of muddies things up. I don't think it makes things better. They should try to distance themselves from her if they possibly can.
We've been reporting on the questionable spending under Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, which include first-class travel, trips at the taxpayer's expense, meals, and more. We don't know what the FBI investigation is focused on, but importantly and significantly, this FBI search happening right now at Dolton Village Hall comes just days after Tiffany Henyard's top aide in both Dolton and Thornton Township, Keith Freeman, was indicted on one count of bankruptcy fraud. That was largely seen as a move by federal investigators to go after problems with his own reporting of his income in his personal bankruptcy case, potentially to get him to cooperate in other investigations. We don't know if that's happening or not, but what we can tell you right now is the FBI confirming to WGN Investigates that its agents are at Dolton Village Hall this afternoon as part of a court-authorized search. We'll bring you more information just as soon as we can.
Wow. Wow. So, of course, unsurprisingly, the village of Dolton came out and said that, hey, the FBI did not raid our town hall, right? Well, I'm not sure exactly what you call it outside of a raid, but it seems like that's what they did. Now, apparently, they were there to serve subpoenas to people. Let's learn more about this.
Video recorded by a witness shows the agents just inside the doorway there. We don't know who they were there to see or what they were looking for. Skycam 9 was over Village Hall in the past hour. We're told this was not a full-blown search or seizure of computers or other potential evidence. The agents were there likely serving subpoenas. An FBI Chicago spokesperson will only say the FBI was conducting court-authorized law enforcement activity in that area today. Dolton Mayor Tiffany Henyard, who also serves as Thornton Township Supervisor, has been the focus of months of WGN Investigates reporting. She's accused of retaliating against people she perceives as her political opponents and spent nearly $100,000 of taxpayer money in the past year on travel for her and her entourage. Trustees in Dolton have also accused her of improperly approving payments to vendors. The FBI arrival today comes the same week as Henyard's top aide in both Dolton and the township was charged with bankruptcy fraud.
Yeah, so we know about this. Okay, so again, shout out to WGN News. Okay, I'm not sure if there is an awards like ceremony or some type of national award for journalism that goes to some of these local news outlets. But WGN should definitely receive an award, right? They should get an award because they've been on this from the beginning. And without their reporting, I don't think that this story would be as big as it is. I mean, they have done like real investigative journalism that has led to this outcome, an outcome that I think a lot of people really want to see because this is justice. This is one of the few times where I can think about law and order actually being enforced in this country where, hey, if you got a couple of infinity stones of wokeness like Tiffany Henyard, you usually get away with this type of stuff, right? Usually they're not going to come after you, especially if you have a D by your name, which leads me to a conspiracy theory here that maybe, just maybe, the Biden-led DOJ is going after Tiffany Henyard before the election to show that, hey, we're not weaponized. We are impartial. We just went after Tiffany Henyard. We took down one of our own, okay? She's a black woman, Democrat, corrupt, okay, accused of all types of crazy stuff. We took her down. Therefore, we're not weaponized, okay? We go after Democrats as well, too. I'm just saying, this woman was hanging out at the White House with Biden, okay, and other Democrats, was invited for whatever reason, and now they're going after her, okay, because, the White House has received a lot of criticism for that. A lot of people said, why in the world is Biden hanging out with criminals? I mean, Biden is a criminal, allegedly. So, I mean, birds of a feather flock together, but I'm just saying, this could be a part of basically an operation to have a fall person to say that, well, look, we go after Democrats and Republicans. It's not just Trump. We're going after Tiffany Henyard as well, too, and Bob Menendez and Eric Adams. But again, we all know that there are certain reasons for this. Okay, with Bob Menendez, he was just too overt with it, right? He was just in your face with his influence peddling. Eric Adams is probably because he's been very, very, very critical of the border and the Biden administration, the piss poor job they've done when it comes to illegal immigration, which has basically destroyed New York City. And with Tiffany Henyard, I think just like Bob Menendez, it's just too overt, right? It's a bad look for the party, right? It is not good going into election season to have a national story about a local township being run by a liberal black woman in which you have this much obvious corruption going on, right? It's just not a good look. So maybe you got to take this person out in order to make yourself look good and say, listen, here are a few examples of us going after Democrats, corrupt Democrats, right? Which I think is hilarious because they're all minorities, which is the funny part about it, right? That's the hilarious part, okay? So, I personally think that Tiffany Henyard is cooked, right? I think that the FBI raiding the building is basically confirmation that they basically know that there's a case against her. Now they're basically going to build on that case. And eventually, they're going to use her right-hand man in order to get more information. And they're going to bring charges against her. But we're going to have to wait and see in regards to what that will be, okay, exactly what they're going to do. But what we do know is that they are, in fact, investigating not just her goons, but also the village as a whole, which means that, again, charges and indictment is probably coming. sooner rather than later. And it's just kind of crazy to witness all this stuff happen right before an election. And I can't help but think that this right here, again, with things really closing in on Tiffany Henyard, it makes that Roland Martin interview with her look even worse, right? This guy looks like a fool bringing Tiffany Henyard into his studio and giving her straight softball questions because she's a Democrat black woman, not holding her feet to the fire, letting her walk into his studio, lie to his face, embarrass his show, okay, basically destroy his credibility as a journalist just for this woman to turn around and be investigated by the FBI, have the Village Town Hall raided, have one of her right-hand mans indicted, and she might potentially be facing an indictment. Again, embarrassing moment for people like Roland Martin, because he had her in his studio. He could have held her feet to the fire. He could have asked her these tough questions. He could have essentially exposed her in a way that other news outlets did not get a chance to do. And, he dropped the ball on it, right? He dropped one of the biggest bags that you can get as a journalist. Again, it's just so funny to think about. It really is. And again, this is what happens when you try to play the race game, okay, and you try to show favorites based off race and all this other stuff. You end up getting burned. And, this village got burned for that. Roland Martin got burned for that. And it looks like, justice is being served. But we'll see, right? We'll see exactly what happens. I personally, again, believe that the FBI is corrupt. Do not let this story change your mind. Do not let the liberal media try to convince you that, they went after Tiffany Henyard, right? Therefore, they're not weaponized against Trump. Everything is impartial and unbiased, right? Don't let them do that, because what you're saying here is that the FBI, they're going after people selectively based off politics. And again, this is political. It's just political in the sense that, just like Bob Menendez, Tiffany Henyard, she's too overt with the corruption, right? It's too in your face. And it's a bad look for Democrats to have a bad apple like this running a town and going into an election year. Again, it's just not a good look to just let this continue to slide and not deal with it, right? And again, with the Trump trials going on, getting somebody like her up out of there, going after her, taking her down, can be an example of how the FBI is going after everybody, including Democrats. Therefore, there is no weaponization. The FBI is unbiased and they're impartial. All of the allegations that the FBI has been weaponized against Trump are just untrue. It's not political persecution. Don't fall for that. Don't fall for that. Again, Tiffany Henyard is just too corrupt. They can't just continue to let her do this, right? They're taking her down because it helps them dispel the narrative that Trump is being politically persecuted, even though that clearly and obviously is the case. Okay, so you gotta understand, okay, this is chess, not checkers, and that's exactly what's happening with the Biden-led DOJ. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.